I do believe this is the Dark Knight quest start. After witnessing a spectacle like that, everyday life seems rather dull in comparison. You didn't see that trial earlier? Ah, your loss. Fury take me, the way that heretic swung that slab of iron he called a sword was a sight to behold. You could have carried a shield if you wanted to, the blade was so big. Had to keep two hands on it at all times. I was amazed he managed to keep up with the Temple Knight for as long as he did. Fought like a demon from the deepest pits of the seventh hell, bellowing threats and working his arts. Wasn't sure what to make of it at first, but then I heard someone say that he must be a dark knight. But you didn't hear that from me, eh? In fact, I'm sure I don't know anything about it. Press the man for details, yes. This is extremely guts. Fought like a demon, has a sword that's so big that it not only is it just like a slab of metal that it feels like it's not even correct to call it a sword, but it seems like he shouldn't be able to swing it. Ye gods. Are you mad? We're standing outside the bloody tribunal. Fine, but keep quiet and listen well, because I'm only going to say this once. Our end. So I was saying, that heretic was fighting like a man possessed. Even after he took several wounds, he showed no sign of pain, though there was no mistaking the blood. As the fight wore on, it began to soak through his armor, spreading into every ilm of his body. But when it began to rise and develop him in a mist, I realized it wasn't blood, something dark and twisted. But the righteous are not so easily cowed. Helen be praised, I screamed myself hoarse when that Temple Knight slipped past his guard and ran him through. Good riddance, I say, man was not meant to wield such arts. Yet I wonder, was he truly one of those, well, it matters not. I heard the Temple Knights talking of dumping his corpse in the broom, but by sunrise it'll be stripped bare and tossed over the walls. It'll be as though he never was, and as though we never had this conversation. Oh, he's dead. He's probably not dead. Just gonna go on a limb here. He's probably not actually dead. In the broom. Right by the main foundation thing. I guess I could just do this. Threat Plaza? Yep. Oh, there's no reason to pay for that. Admittedly, very low price. Yep. Boop. Too far. Person revealed himself at the last possible second. That's more than enough for charity. They'll take care of the rest. Mayhap sooner rather than later. Come on. They're looking for me to pick his body clean. Honestly, not as big of a sword as I expected. I'll have to find the most gutsiest blade I can and use that one. Is this it? Is this all that awaits? No. No more. Enough. Open your eyes. Look, do you see now? Do you see? Zev. Zev! I've been waiting for you to open your eyes. You alright? You were moaning in your sleep and sweating buckets besides. Name's Frey, by the way. And no, I'm not a heretic. Try convincing a temple knight drunk on authority of that, eh? Shame the pompous arse got the better of me. But how about you? You touched it, yes? That couldn't have felt good. A voice, eh? And a rather distressed one besides. Please, someone! Anyone! I should probably make his eyebrows red now. Not so fast. We need to talk about what's happening to you. What's growing within you, before you get carried away. There's a darkness within us all. Nothing dangerous, mind. In fact, it's quite healthy. But the crystal changes you, gives you the power to channel it. Do it without proper training, however, and well, it might hurt. So, go ahead. Ask me to teach you. Ask me to instruct you in the ways of the Dark Knights, and I will. So this will be interesting because it's already a decent intro. Something that stood out to me is that some of the other class quests have been really boring, which isn't that different from a lot of the story content earlier in this game, which is where a lot of the class quests live. For me, it took until the Red Wedding for things to really spark and get interesting, but then it kind of lulled for a while until the post-patch quests of Heavensward, where suddenly things got really picked up again. And then Shadowbringers has been a big spike in quality. But yeah, side content has been a little rough. The Manderville stuff is pretty funny, but doing Beast Tribe quests and class quests, it's highly variable whether or not they're especially compelling, or if they're just kind of like, well, that was the bare bones of a story. So one of the things that got me interested is, one, I wanted to play as a tank and a healer at some point. It's good to get your options set up. And inherently, the most interesting tank class for me to try to get was actually the Gunbreaker, because one, it's a gun sword tank, which is just a very amusing premise, but also, I think that Gunbreaker might be like a Hrothgar class. Like, I think that's like more tied to the storyline of us, and it'd be cool to see more of us around and all that. But I have heard that the Dark Knight is like maybe the best story told. It might have the best story of any class, and also might be the most directly integrated into the main story, and so it has just the most compelling setup in general, potentially. And apparently, it's written by the same writer that wrote Shadowbringers and Endwalker, even though I think Dark Knights existed before then or something. So, the two best expansions of the game, according to most people, also wrote the Dark Knight storyline, and that is a very promising idea that it might be a really good storyline to go through. So I'm just kind of want to do that for that sake, if nothing else, because I could just learn whatever tank class, and the difference between having a big sword versus a big sword that's a gun isn't the end of the world. It's like how I tried Gunlance, but then ultimately spent a lot of time as Lance too in Monster Hunter, if I remember correctly. There's just a person looming over there. I know you're still worried about that screaming woman, so I'll keep this brief. You were so worried you monologued for the last 5 minutes. That was weird. We Dark Knights don't care one whit for prestige or pedigree. We are free to follow our hearts, to defend the weak and punish the guilty as we see fit. The law of the land, the authority of a name, these are tools cowards use to escape harm. We have no need of shields, figurative or literal. Here, my blade is your blade, my soul crystal, your crystal. Go on, take them. You'll need them soon enough. Time to become a Dark Knight. I don't like his armor though. It's not the worst that it's the helm. The helm's really bad. As a visor that hides your face except for your eyes, it's kind of okay. And I can't wear helms anyway. The overall gear set, though, The rest of it's kind of okay. Sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought there. Most of it's okay in that it's relatively simple. The shoulders are a bit much. The helm is just super ugly. I think its goal is to hide everything but the eyes, but it's just really ugly and I don't want to wear it. But thankfully I shouldn't be able to because I'm a Rothgar, so haha. But I would expect his oop. I think it just, let's see, do you change weapons? Yeah. Did expect the sword to be a bit more correct looking. Oh. Fucking armory. Oops. So head has a slot. This one does not have a slot. Get rid of this random tabard of... No, that's in a set. There's a little set icon. Whoops. Don't have enough pants. Those are really ugly. I don't think I want those for cosmetics or anything. Ah! Oops. That's certainly a getup. Got a big old breastplate. Oh, how do I make my weapon show? Let's see. I'm currently set to hide my weapon outside of combat. You can toggle the display of headgear and sheathed weapons by using the buttons in the character window. Oh, here? There we go. If there's a class that should have its big weapon floating, even though it's awkward how far away it's going to float all the time, but if there's a class that should have the weapon shown, it's probably Dark Knight. It's interesting that I seem to have auto-selected pants that look really out of place. Oh, that's what they want me to wear. Oh, those are really ugly. Yeah, I can see why this happened. So it auto-swapped to gear that shows up as being jeans currently. That's pretty good. Big chunky boots. Definitely have to see if I can create a bit of a visual style later. The jeans are pretty funny, sticking out of the set. Alright, blood gauge unlocked. This symbol indicates the defensive stance grit is in effect, which increases enmity. Enmity? I feel like I've always thought of the word as enmity, like E-M-N-I-T-Y, so reading it as enmity. Enmity. Wow. I think I've just mispronounced this word my entire life, but also it's not a word I ever use, so entire life is... I think I've never spoken out loud in my entire life, ever, so I've mispronounced it in my head for a long time, is the grand reveal here. Wow. Anyway, you can view the job gauge description anytime. Okay. So... there's a thing called enmity that I increase. It only happens when I'm in the grit stance, which is when this turns red. That's the entire description. Okay. That was the shortest and least helpful description so far. It just says when this light's on, it means you're getting enmity. Presumably. Well, well. Don't you look the part. Ready to harness the darkness within to set the wrongs right. The wrong things right. Now, bear in mind that while the darkness gives you strength, that strength comes at a cost. That is but one sacrifice, though, and justice demands many. Say a man, a venerable, untouched man, untouchable man, harms a child in unspeakable ways. He strides through Hopland, secure in the knowledge that he is beyond punishment. But for one who cuts down that vile beast as he flaunts his freedom, who knows how many others will suffer. Such was the dilemma faced by a goodly knight long ago. He knew that he would be stripped of his titles and denounced for the deed. The threshold we refuse to cross is a line we draw for ourselves. We fear the consequences and people suffer for our indecision. Everyone who held the crystal came to conquer that fear, and became who they wanted to be. That night was the first. Will you be the next? Think on that while we look into the commotion down below. Less interesting lesson learned kind of moment, but also like someone's currently in danger right now, and that was a long time to pause, potentially. Talking about the idea that you might choose to ignore what society decides is good or bad, or boundaries of who is too powerful to be touchable, and just fucking murder someone because they're a bad guy. They really went heavy on the class disparity in Ishgard specifically. Please, I don't know what to do. It's my granddaughter. I didn't see him standing there, and I know that's no excuse. I should have been more careful. But my granddaughter, she started yelling at the temple knight, and I tried to stop her. I did, but then he said he had to come with him. And if I could just tell him how sorry I am, maybe he would. He'd take you too, is what he'd do. Even if you went and begged the blue bastard to intervene, it'd be too late by then. Ain't the first time they've taken a girl her age. If she doesn't fight back, they might let her go after. No. There has to be another way. Ishgardian justice. They might spare the girl, you know. Leave her with a few scars and a lifelong lesson. Or we could beat every last one of them within an ilm of their lives and rescue the girl. You'd like that, wouldn't you? Damn, no hesitation. I knew you would. There's some characterization for you to be immediately on board for fighting to the death for this. Everything is going to be alright, ma'am. I almost said everyone, but that's obviously not true. When I'm through with those knights, they will not dare trouble you ever again. Oh, thank you. Thank you. They're obviously like unambiguously the bad guys here, the knights. But there's just like there is like some level of like, this is Ishgard, a very major location, and you have specific connections to different elements of the story and its power structure and all that. So fighting the knights of the town is definitely quite a call to make. That could have long-reaching implications for you as a person potentially. I'm surprised how hard it's going though. Both with the child, the mention of the child earlier, and the girl that's taken now, the things they're implying are beyond what I thought they would imply ever in Final Fantasy, let alone, or particularly this game. That is not something I thought was on the table narratively. That's distressing. Assuming they didn't just drag her into an alley, they've taken her to either the congregation or the tribunal. The Honorable Sir Aymeric wouldn't suffer such reprehensible behavior under his roof. The Inquisition, on the other hand, well... So that leaves the tribunal. If the girl is still alive, I imagine they'll make all manner of threats. Come any closer and she dies, and so forth. If so, we need to make something perfectly clear to them. We are not here for her. We're here for you. Once they understand that she means nothing to us, they'll attack us or flee. I don't know about you, but I'm eager to find out which. You have learned all Dark Knight actions and traits at level 30. Detailed descriptions. Is that what they are? Oh my goodness. I'm scared, you guys. Loading new classes is a lot. Why do I keep doing this to myself? It just feels so in character. I try to embrace the premise of a game sometimes, you know? Get the vibe for it. And there is something that feels inherently correct about changing your class on a regular basis in Final Fantasy XIV. I think a lot of people probably play the entire existing story before doing that, potentially, because obviously you get reset a bit, having to grind your way back up. But, given that we're playing this story very slowly over the course of years, I feel like it makes sense to change your class every expansion or so, and feel that particular, like, class swapping variety that's, like, inherent to the whole experience. It is very funny how few tanks and healers there are and how many DPS there are. Like, goddamn. There is one tank category, one healer category, and there are 3 DPS categories, and those 3 DPS categories have as many, each of them individually has as many as tank and healer. Just on a lot, individually. There's only 3 physical ranged and 5 melee DPS, so that it's a little off. It's 5, 3, 4, but it still is like, that's still 12 compared to 4 and 4. That is wild. That is like as bad or worse than like the disparity that exists in like Resident Evil. What? Why did I say Resident? Wow, that sentence autopiloted. Overwatch is what I meant to say. Resident Evil is not even a slightly sensical conclusion to that sentence. Oh my goodness. Let's see. I'll make a glamour when I'm done with this storyline or something. I don't love heavy armor. Part of me is tempted just to be like a dude in like armored leggings, and then just go around shirtless or in a harness, and then just have a giant sword. Would be a fun vibe. It is a little fun just how bulky your character gets in armor. Once you have like the certain types of shoulder pads that are more rounded, it can look pretty cool. Right, I have to sit here and read all these character abilities. Okay. And then I need to try to organize them in a way that makes some kind of sense to me. Hard Slash delivers an attack with potency of 150. Okay, so normal hit. Siphon Strike delivers an attack with potency of 100. Combo action Hard Slash. You do it after Hard Slash. Okay. Unleash deals unaspected damage with a potency of 120 to all nearby enemies. I think unaspected means, I think that might be like some sort of true damage that goes through all defenses or something. So that's like an AoE. Whoa! My out of combat bar gets a little annoying in these situations. Rampart. Unleash. Primal. A little hard to see in all this gray darkness right now. Alright. Unleash. Grit significantly increases enmity generation. It's just threat. It's threat. It's a harder word to use than threat, but I'm sure that's what that means, is that this is your tank stance button. That's what that means. This is you're gaining threat, which makes people aggro on you. You're getting aggro, also a term you can use. Effect ends upon reuse. So you toggle grit with that button. It's just a tank toggle. Deals unaspected. Okay, unmend deals unaspected damage with a potency of 150. Additional effect increases threat. I'm just gonna say threat. Unmend is very funny. It's like I'm gonna unheal you. Ugh. Soul Eater delivers an attack with a potency of 100. Combo action Siphon Strike. Okay, so Hard Slash, Siphon Strike, Soul Eater. Interesting that they gave you the skill this late. I guess that means that when they let you play little baby instances for babies that are lower level than you can even make a Dark Knight, that's when you create one, like the first dungeon in the game maybe, they don't want you to have a 3-hit combo, I guess. Other than that, it's really goofy. Let's see, I don't need teleport on my bar. I don't need auto attack on my bar. Provoke must be a roll action. Low blow, rampart. Yes, these okay. This is a bit wild, but I have six Dark Knight buttons, and I already have 5 tank buttons, which is a bit early. Oh, wait, I do usually have teleport on. No, not on this bar. I have it on my out of action bar. Yeah, out of combat bar. Let's do hard slash siphon strike soul eater. There we go. There's my main combo. Probably put my AoE amongst those ones. So 3-hit combo AoE. And none of these increase threat. This one heals me, which is interesting for tanking. Deals damage, increases. So this is a threat ability. This stuff gets complicated fast. Let's go through my roll abilities. I'll just read them out and then I can just cut this and figure out my bars between clips. Rampart reduces damage taken by 20%. Low blow stuns your enemy. Provoke, gesture threatening, placing yourself at the top of a target's enemy list while gaining additional enmity. So that's, I guess this is a universal tank. It's just taunt. Yeah. These are slightly... It does feel like playing another MMO, but through a thesaurus. So it's provoke. It gives you enmity, unlike, like taunt, which gives you threat. Interject. Interrupts the current action. Reprisal. Reduces damage dealt by nearby enemies by 10%. So a debuff on my enemies. Okay. Alright, that's worth knowing. So you inherently, as a tank, have a stun, and a taunt, and an interrupt. Those are all worth having. I have not spent much time using interrupts. I'll probably need to change my interface a little bit to make the enemy cast bar really obvious, and then learn what the different kinds of cast bars mean, because interrupting, I'm sure, is suddenly going to be a whole lot more of my job now. Alright. Alright, I got my 3-hit combo, I got my AoE, I've got my... Oop, my controller's off. That's the interrupt, and... So, AoE, 3-hit combo, and that's my weird damaging taunt, and then my damaging taunt, my everyone taunt. Everyone does less damage nearby me, I take less damage, and then interrupt and stun. It's a bit complicated, but I'll get it. It's whatever. Also, I'll have to redo all of my bars when they inevitably completely change my lineup, and I have to reorganize it anyway. Gotta head out that way? Okay. There we go. Just the one sword between the two of us, I'm afraid. You keep it. I dare say it fits rather snugly in your hands. Almost like it grew in size when you picked it up or something. Nope, it didn't. I thought that the last couple of minutes were just lost, but because my preview window was just showing me a picture instead of footage, but whatever bug that was did not affect the actual recording. Weird. Whatever. But don't worry about me. I'll do my part to keep you on your feet. Now, should things turn violent, as I expect they shall, you may need to tap into your dark side to survive. It's not unlike drawing upon your own aether to weave magic. Fear, pain, rage, that which lies in the deepest depths of our soul makes for a potent fuel. But be warned, burn too much, too quickly, and you risk being consumed. Do not worry, Zev. The first step over the threshold is always the hardest. Ah, yes. I should have known you'd do that. Right then, let's find the girl. Back the way we came? Yep. I just reflexively hit my, where I had Peloton before. I do have Sprint over here. I'm actually surprised that it's staying in combat mode right now. I guess if you don't actually use an ability from these bars, it doesn't trigger whatever logic causes your character to actually reset from combat. Like, it'll stay in my combat bar all this time, but the moment I do this... Yep, it's the active sheathing that triggers that. It's interesting that it's so specific to that. Am I a Dark Knight now? Is this the vibes we're going for? Haha. Level sync. Okay. Well, I'm not level 34, I'm level 30, so... Uh-oh. Hopefully we're fine. I'd be impressed if somebody who got Dark Knight 10 seconds ago was already past level 34? Well, they just get the class and leave immediately? Damn it, girl, you're only making it worse for yourself. The hell's with you? I've done nothing wrong. Why are the pretty ones always so daft? If I had a gill for every time I had to kill an unrepentant bastard like you... What the... Are you threatening a temple knight? Oh, you're very clever. Yes, I am. Now let her go. Enough of this. With me, girl, now. One more word of protest and I'll toss your grandmother in a cell to rot. You three, seize this imbecile. Alright, time to have my first fight. It's funny that it's level locking, like they were afraid of me getting over-leveled before my tutorial fight. I guess you can just immediately leave. This is my little AoE combo. Or my normal combo. I'm not multitasking my thoughts very well today. It's a very... Oh yeah, big ol' heavy weapon. It's even got that really crazy attack that you have in Dark Souls where you slam your heavy weapon forward and then afterwards you turn around and flip it over backwards in the opposite direction, which I think is something straight from the panels of Berserk. I do think that happened in Berserk, and Dark Souls in this both took inspiration from that idea. A lot of live dialogue happening here. Surrender or die. I was about to say the same thing. Show them no mercy, Zev. Bring everyone, he's gone mad. Reinforcements, eh? Looks like we'll have to even the odds. Search your soul for the darkness. We'll need but a sliver. Yes. Do you see, Zev? The flames beckon. Immerse yourself in the flames and ignite the darkness within. It's really unusual to have so much out of cutscene dialogue. The live stuff that's easier to miss. Darkness swells within you. Am I just gonna nab them all up? I'm gaining darkness and magic vulnerability. Ow. But drink just so. As it burns hotter, so does your strength swell. But drink not too deep, lest the flames consume you. The darkness threatens to swallow your very being. Am I supposed to fight them while it's active? So the end of this Cosmo heals me, which is pretty helpful. Started popping some of my cooldowns a bit. Just to press some more buttons. My struggle is that I'm not that worried about tanking for my friends. But I am like inherently more worried about tanking for random people. Especially with the pace at which I've seen some people play this game. It feels like they usually expect you to play really fast. Rescue the maid? Is she up here? This is kind of a confusing quest. I guess okay, so we're going up here. I'm just used to having a waypoint indicating where to go. So I have to like kind of like on the fly piece out like, okay, this is where this is how this particular quest is like set up. Like there's the boundaries. It's kind of set up like a race course in an open world game where they just kind of like put down some arrows and hope you can figure it out. It's showing my darkness score, but I don't know if I need to keep my darkness above 0 to keep going. I'm trying to tell if like that ticking clock puts me in trouble, or if it's just a power meter for the fight. Feels like I should just spam AoE. But I should hit my 3-hit combo to actually do damage and self-healing correctly. Okay, my darkness is 0, so I'm fine. Okay, this guy's a bit obnoxious if I don't take out the healer. He seems genuinely unkillable. I can obviously stack up some darkness too. Accidentally pressed the wrong button. Oh well. The next knight who bears steel, I'm not only going to kill him, I'm going to kill his wife, his friends, and burn his goddamn house down. Kind of an edgelord here. Thank you. Those of you who yet live, remember this horror, and know that should you speak of it, it shall be visited upon you again 100-fold. A lot of sneaky dialogue you can miss. So it feels like we're dealing with like pre-story arc Guts. Like he has a character arc that, I mean, he's originally just kind of like a rude loner with a tragic backstory that's rough, and it's informed why he'd be such a shit. But then things get significantly worse for him. And when things get significantly worse in one of the most famous scenes in all of manga history, he then becomes the hyper edgy, like, murder man that has this fierce, like, anti-humanity feeling to him. And then he has an arc recovering from that. And that's... I don't think we're there. Frey is, like, comically edgy. I don't know what to say, sir. Thank you. Thank you. I got a little carried away earlier. It's just that when I saw how they were treating my grandmother, I had to say something, and... What? No one screamed your name. My grandfather called out just the once, but that was it. Speaking of which, I should hurry back. I suppose I ought to say that I'm sorry for what I did, but I'm not. Those knights had it coming. Hallowed bless you for what you did. Feels good, doesn't it? Strange, maybe. But a good strange, I'll wager. You tapped into something primal, a power nestled within you, yearning to be free. As your understanding of this power grows, so too will your skill as a dark knight. You've done well, far better than I could have hoped, in fact. But there is still so much more to learn, so much further to go. I won't lie to you, hero. The risks will only increase. So if you want to keep going, you'll have to trust in me. Can you do that? I can. Good. That's a promise. Circumstances being what they are, it may be best if we parted ways for a while. I think of it as an opportunity to hone your skills in my absence. But don't worry. We will meet again. When the time is right. I'll be waiting where we first met. The next Dark Knight quest is at level 35. It's gonna be a bit, but not that much. Sure isn't every 10 levels. Blood of Darkness. Dark side gauge. That's your enmity. Dark side gauge. This timer indicates the duration of dark side, which increases damage dealt. Using Flood of Darkness or Edge of Darkness, acquired level 40, grants dark side. So you just do more damage whenever that's active so it's just a buff. You have some abilities that give you a buff that increases your damage, which is just like, there's just things that gives you buffs sometimes in this game. That's just kind of normal. But they want to sell that as being a core part of your character. So it's going to have its own meter or indicator for it. I shouldn't be too flippant with that. It's very possible that later on they'll be like, here's the thing that you can only do in dark side mode, or that requires you to spend your dark side or something. It might be a resource you actually navigate. It's just that as it's introduced here, it's functionally it's basically unimportant information. Flood of Darkness deals unaspected damage with a potency of 100 to all enemies in a straight line in front of you. That's fun. Grants dark side, increasing damage dealt by 10%. That's even less, more underwhelming when it's only 10. 30 seconds is a chunk of time though. Extends dark side duration by 30 seconds to a maximum of 60 seconds. Shares a recast timer with Edge of Darkness. So if you do have dark side active, then it'll stack with the current duration, which is good to know. They put it over here. Might want to put that there and put the AoE over there. Move some of my more explicitly tanky buttons to be over here. Put both of my AoEs as the Y button. Potentially. I don't know. It doesn't necessarily have to make sense. It just has to eventually make sense to me, hopefully. What's the Flood of Darkness look like? I need a target. Lame. It's fun being able to actually cast stuff on the fly. Alright, time to figure out how to level up. Do I have to run instances? Maybe. That is what I'm most nervous about. I'm like, yay, let's go check out this whole thing. And then it's like, well, congratulations, buddy. You've picked a thing where you have to be the leader of instances over and over again. And it's very embarrassing if you don't know where to go. And I've seen how fast people go, like chain pulling in MMOs, and that makes me nervous. And I just, part of me is like, how valid is it to just do bronze generic quests to level up? Or grind monsters? Do those work for leveling? Alright, he basically looks like he's got biker chaps at the moment, but that's what we're working with. So far. A lot of stuff isn't applicable yet. You need to be the right level for glamours or something like that, if I remember correctly. I don't know, I didn't get super high investment yet on looking for outfits. I will say that tanking is very boring at level 30. when you mostly just press 3 buttons over and over again as you fight through those pretty long dungeons. I was happy I only had to do Hawk Manor once, because it is very confusing to puzzle your way through if you don't have it memorized, which I don't, because I've always followed people. So having to search every room for the keys is a bit of a thing. And then I did Brayflox twice, because you then unlock the fight against like the first primal or whatever, but that fight is useless for experience. I think it gave me 1,000 experience. I'm like, okay, well, this was a waste of time. Bye. So I had to do Brayflox twice, but we got here. Got 2 levels twice, then 1 level once, so at least I'm leveling per run so far. I have been using the NPCs because I didn't want to tank for human beings, and with Hawk Manor and stuff, like being confused as the party leader essentially would be a frustration. This interface sucks, like for a number of reasons, but like particularly the fact that like this drop-down menu just shows you all of the, it just shows you instances for the new expansion. Or my new expansion, the one I'm in technically right now. And that's like the only drop. You have to like find, and then you'd be like, okay, well that looks like a thing, right? It says Shadowbringers. Then you can't click on the Shadowbringers button. It doesn't do anything. What the why doesn't it do anything? So what you actually have to do is you have to go all the way down here, then over here to duty support, which sounds like you're trying to file a ticket to the fucking game masters or something. And that brings you to the place where you can go through the tabs of different dungeons. And all I can think the whole time is, why isn't this the menu that opens when I click on trust? Why isn't it this one? Why is the other menu open? Like, what is this menu for? Look at this menu. What is this whole ass menu even for? It's pointless, right? It's like non-functional. It's confusingly laid out, and I don't know what it's meant to accomplish, and this one has the same options in it. And it's the duty menu that we've had for the rest of all of matchmaking and stuff, except it's blue now. And then there it is, there's Brayflox, there's Hawk Manor. I had to ask people how to do dungeons, because I was like, didn't I just unlock the ability to do NPC dungeons or something? And I had to like ask people to tell me how to do it, because the interface is so badly designed that it's this tiny icon down here that looks like it's asking for customer support. I don't understand. Why is this drop-down menu only have 6 items in it and there's no like tabs? I don't... Final Fantasy. This is a universal thing in MMOs. MMOs just struggle so hard at having an interface that's actually usable by human beings without looking up a guide for every single thing in order to find it. And like, look at these! Like, it's horrifying. What a horrifying genre sometimes. I had a feeling you'd come back by today, Zev. And sure enough, there you are, eager to pick up where we left off. Let's start with a question, then. You must be burning with several after that last affair. What was that voice I heard? Ah, yes, the voice. The one you heard when you first touched the crystal. An excellent question, but a difficult one to answer. Some say it is a beacon, guiding the dark knight to his true calling. Whose is it, you ask? Only you can discover that, for each knight must hearken to a different voice. As you grow more accustomed to drawing upon your dark side, you will come to hear it more clearly. Communion will hasten this process, but we dare not conduct the rites here, under the watchful eye of the Holy See. We will make for South Thanalan, for Little Alamigo. Bye. It's very far away. The moment I mentioned it, I just turn away around, walk away. Just kind of assume you were paying attention, you know. We're really embarrassing everyone all the way to Southern Thanalan and you never showed up. Be a bad time for all of us. Punctual as ever, I see. That could be a criticism if you interpret it that way. Communion, lest you worry, is rather simple. It is a ritual in which one nurtures the darkness within, so that he may channel it more effectively in battle. Do not, however, presume the risks to be any less than before. Should you partake of it in excess, you will die, or worse. So, before we begin, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to kill something for me. Something feral, something fearsome, which will push you to your limits. I want to see you thrive in that moment. That way, I will know you are ready. Ask Gundabald. He should know of a suitable creature. I've been here for a while. What's up? A pleasure to see you again, Zev. Do you require assistance? Training? Well, if you seek dangerous beasts for that purpose, then the Red Labyrinth is home to Pisces? Hasties? Notorious for their size and vigor. Our trappers take great pains to avoid their nests, and those who do not bear scars for their folly. Do you enjoy my boob window? I pity the man who dies without scars, but these pasties sound promising. Tell me more. They've attacked caravans loaded with owled goat carcasses before. The smell drives them into a frenzy. This should serve to draw them out of hiding. Zev, I'll always be grateful for what you did. Those young ones were on the verge of making a terrible mistake, so consumed with anger were they. I hesitated to act, even though I saw it burning within them, as I see it burning within you now. You seek the darkness within. I will not claim to understand your meaning, but I wish you well in your training. Let's go. You know the darkness is within, because I'm the Shadowbringer. I'm the warrior of darkness now. Enjoy the irony of how I am the warrior of darkness, but have been claimed by the light and am now a shining golden cat. But I am also the warrior of darkness, and so I will become a dark knight. It makes sense. Don't worry about it. Nope, this way. This map's a little goofy shaped. There you go. It is funny how, like, doing dailies in a place makes you a little more familiar with the location. Like this. Just because if you do dailies in a place, you spend way more time there as a result than you did during the story. Ah, they're close. I can feel their eyes upon us. Well, we're here. Show me who you are, Zev. Show me what you can do. I'm waiting. Show me your moves. Why did you go past the destination? You goof? Must now lie sneakily in wait. Huh. A hostile presence. I swapped my moves to go from X to B instead of B to X. I don't know why I landed on B to X. That did not feel right. But yeah, mostly I'm just pressing these 3 buttons over and over again, and occasionally pressing Y to keep my 30-second cooldowns refreshed. Or 30-second buff up. which means mostly just pressing it every time it goes down to 30 to get it back up to 60 so that I don't forget about it. But it's mostly just pressing one 3-hit combo on the relatively slow tempo of how fast Final Fantasy XIV's global cooldown is, which is much longer than World of Warcraft's. So, being a level 30 tank has been very sleepy. So just pressing 3 buttons. I'm surprised that guy didn't aggro on me. That wasn't so hard, now was it? To mete out justice, to protect the weak from the strong, and so forth. You, yourself, must be strong. Strength is pain. Strength is suffering. Strength is sacrifice. We must prepare for communion, but not here. Come, before more pasties are drawn by the smell. I don't know if it's pasties or Pisces, but pasties is a funnier term. Because it sounds like I'm referring to nipple stickers. The number of words that can be slightly misinterpreted to be something very funny in this game, it just brings me life. Oop, there he is. What's up? I flew here on my throne. You have a throne, right? You look ready. Good. Now listen well. Close your eyes and hold out your hand towards me. Breathe deep through your nose. Let the air fill your lungs. Let it pass from your lips. Slower. Slower. Listen to my voice. Listen to your heartbeat. Listen for the other. Being close enough that he just put his hand on his head was very funny. With every breath, you grow lighter and slip further into the abyss. Zoop. One foot in front of the other, over and over again. To the ends of the world and back again. And if time has no end, still forward and onward, over and over again. So, what did you hear? Interesting, but not terribly informative. But do not lose heart. That you were able to hear it once more is progress enough. I believe you will come to understand its words, and its will, in due time. I should mention that, in some instances, the voice is said to be that of another, one whom the Dark Knight is fated to seek out. If that is the case, you may have a long journey ahead of you. So you welcome such a journey. There is something to be said for it. And for travel, for that matter. To roam free and help those in need. Yet no good deed goes unpunished, does it? I knew a man once, wanted to be a hero, do great things, and so he did. The songs always end there, but life doesn't, does it? There are temptations more deadly than the dark side, Zev. You should have learned this by now, but you haven't. You will. The communion is ended, and with it, our time together. But we shall meet again, as we did before. So he was talking about himself there at the end, because that's just how this always goes. But interestingly, the conversation that happened seemed like it seemed like it was about some random person kind of going about their day job or just general laboring. The thing I heard. Blood weapon grants 5 stacks of blood weapon. Each stack restoring MP upon landing weapons, skills, or spells. Okay. Effect does not stack when hitting multiple targets with a single attack. Okay. So it's a 60-second cooldown. I don't think it costs anything. And so just... yeah. So just my following attacks will then give me some MP. I have noticed that I can run out of MP. But it's not super likely. It mostly comes if I start spamming Flood of Darkness too often. Because it's too expensive. Because, in my main combo, Hard Slash, Siphon Strike, Soul Eater, Siphon Strike restores MP, and Soul Eater restores HP. So my meters are being maintained by my combos, making it... it's part of why it's maybe kind of a sleepwalky kind of experience so far. Let's see, Blood Weapon. That's a good one. That's a fun little animation you got there. Got a lot of buttons to press. Alright. So far, Tank Stance has never turned itself off. So that's interesting. I guess at the very least I can probably put Tank Stance on like a double tap menu instead of having to keep it here. So it'll be a bit easier to find. I mean, what I mean to say is it's probably one of the first buttons I can take off of my bars when they start getting crowded, because it's not, doesn't seem like it's likely I have to press it often. I also don't know why I would not have it on. I imagine there's just like certain social or group contexts where you pulling aggro might be not ideal, like if you're not the main tank at the moment, or if you're in like a huge mob of players PvE environment and you're just functionally also there or something. But I don't think Tank Stance makes you worse. I don't think it has trade-offs. It just is a toggle that makes your stuff give you... yeah, it just increases enemy generation. There's no mention of it making you... it's not like, you gain 10% armor but lose 20% damage, or some kind of trade-off or something that makes it so you'd want to turn it off, so... it mostly sounds like the act of not being in Tank Stance is more of an unusual choice than being than being in Tank Stance. To the point where the game might as well just be like, are you sure you want to leave Tank Stance? And just otherwise just leave it on all the time. But it seems to mostly just be a thing that surprises you at the beginning of a dungeon when you find out the hard way that you apparently weren't in it. And then everyone's dying. I'm back. It's actually been kind of a trip being able to progress something every day. I've been keeping up a tempo, and these quests have been recorded like every 24 hours basically, which is quite a gap because I've been doing the Kojin also, and the first recording in that series is from April 23rd and I'm not done yet in August, so I've been less on task with the Beast Tribes this year. You look well, Zev. More determined. You have not heard the voice since last we spoke, I know. But worry not. Your affinity with the dark side is strong, I believe. If your affinity with the dark side is as strong as I believe, then communion is all you require. Come with me to the burning wall. You know what you must do. I'm a little distracted in my speaking because my throat just feels like shit today. It's the kind of feeling that once upon a time would have made me feel like made me think I was sick, but over time I've just gotten used to the idea of like, no, that's one of those times where I just have a shitty throat and it doesn't turn out to be anything. What probably happened is I just snored really badly or something. Like I slept weird, and then I just get to deal with that the next day. This is the only thing I really want to record today. And then I'll go... oh, cool. Then I'll go writing. Whew. It's one of the... sometimes that's how you know that it... with how my allergies have not been a thing as much in recent years, One of the ways that you know that I'm like starting my recording day is when I sneeze suddenly 5 minutes into the video. That seems to just be a thing that happens every day, maybe. Maybe not every day. It happens often enough where I feel fine, I start recording, and then I sneeze, and I'm like, is this just like something that happened because I just started making myself talk a bunch? And I want to join the fate. It begins, as always, with blood. A confirmation of your identity. There are axe beaks here, which have grown ferocious beyond reckoning. Vile creatures, eager to prey on man and beast alike. Offer yourself to them. They will come. Then make an offering of them to me. As far as tanking goes, trust. I noticed that there's like a really annoyingly long gap here, and I think I just powered through it when I was playing as a machinist, which is the only time I've ever had to level a class before. Beforehand, whenever I changed classes, I switched to classes that were already the right level, so I actually didn't have to do any grinding until machinist, and then now. But here, so I started off with Hawk's Manor because my character starts at level 30. Then I did Brave Flux's Long Stop, straightforward. That got me like level like 34 or something. But then I did the Naval, and the Naval's bullshit. The Naval is comically unrewarding. You get about 1,000 experience, aka less than 1% of a level from it. It's like fucked up how unrewarding the Naval is because it's just one boss fight, but even for one boss fight, it is disproportionately unrewarding for reasons that are hard to explain. I don't know why it's like that. But that means that there's a gap from level 32 to 41. And I'm like, that's a lot of Brave Flox's Long Stop grinding. And I'm already tired of grinding that. I've done that. I think I've done that instance like 6 times now. I'm like, I don't really want to keep doing it all the time. So I checked and I asked in the Discord. I'm like, okay, there's got to be more optional dungeons between Brave Flox and Stone Vigil, right? And so I did. I've got like the Tomb one or whatever, and that one where you have as a gimmick where you fight stone heads and get them to die on little switches or what, like pressure platforms. That was both my first time. So I unlocked that, and then I entered the role queue, the duty finder thing, because I guess all of those dungeons that are optional don't show up in this menu anyway, even after you unlock them, which sucks. So I had to do it with real people, and lo and behold, the moment I entered the duty finder, it instantly put me in that specific dungeon that I had just unlocked, and not any of the other ones that I technically have access to. So I immediately got thrown into that one, and so it was a double whammy of me simultaneously having never tanked for human beings before in Final Fantasy XIV, and having never done that specific dungeon. So it was a bit of a learning curve to slowly figure out, like, oh, I'm the one who single-handedly has to do this dungeon correctly by killing these guys on these specific places, and I had to intuit that over time by figuring out what was going wrong. Because, I don't know if people were mad at me, or patient, or understanding, or what. They just weren't speaking at all, and not giving me any indication of what was wrong, even after things didn't work multiple times, and I just had to eventually clue it together. What did happen, though, is that during the, I want to say it's the first boss fight, or the second one or something, before you start having to use those switches and stone heads to continue and actually open doors in the environment. I think those platforms might have appeared in the boss fight before then, but semi-optionally. And so I did have a boss fight where I just kept dying. I was getting fucking obliterated and didn't know why, and ultimately the party did survive and we beat it on the first try, but I died once and like 2/3 of the way through the fight, and then once again right as the fight was ending, and they just beat him without me and then revived me. And I don't, it's one of those things where it's like at least nobody like was harassing me over my performance, I guess, but it's definitely like reinforced my worries about tanking, and that like at least if I'm playing with Andrew and Effie and so on, like people will just tell me what I'm doing wrong, and you know, we're there to cooperatively get through the thing together. But with random people online, I don't get any feedback, and I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm playing a dungeon I've never done before, and like it's stressful to tank and then enter the duty finder, which might even lead to part of why there's fewer tanks, is that with the duty finder you get put into like a random dungeon, so you don't even know which dungeon to specifically study in advance. So even if you want to do your due diligence of learning all the encounters by like sitting down to read a guide for 10 minutes about what the encounters of a dungeon are like, you can't really reasonably do that for every dungeon that's available to you so far. And then the higher level you get, the more dungeons there are, and you just have this exponential increase in knowledge you're supposed to have. Otherwise, you're letting people down. And I know it's a video game, and you can just have a party fall apart, worst case scenario, and just move on with your life. So the stakes are really low, but it is very stressful to do anonymously. Like, it's stressful to worry about tanking incorrectly in Overwatch, a game where the stakes are just you do a death match against each other and you try to win, and then if you lose, whatever, there's a good chance you're going to lose even if you tanked correctly. So you just give it a go and play your character and try it. But in a MMO where it's your job to keep things going, I'm definitely reminded of why I'm afraid to play anything besides damage characters, and I think that's tied to why a lot of people are also collectively afraid to play damage characters, and the parties have been organized in a way to facilitate that ratio of player base, essentially, where you have like a handful of tanks and a handful of healers and a ton of damage characters, because a lot of people just want to pop off and make a bunch of animations happen. And there is a very noticeable thing where, as a damage character so far in this game, it hasn't technically mattered whether I'm successful or not, or like I'm doing good a job, or at least there's no, I almost never can get hard countered or hard like stopped by underperforming, because you just press a bunch of buttons and you try not to step in the damage things. And so like, as long as you're doing your due diligence of just running from all of the scary things, basically, or figuring out what the particular gimmick is of the fight that might kill you, you just do fine, and you just do a bunch of damage, and you have no idea if it's good damage or bad damage, because the game doesn't have damage meters and all that. Healing and tanking is way higher pressure, because if either of them stops doing their job for a little bit, the entire party can fall apart very, very quickly. Back in our World of Warcraft series, several seasons of it ago, I did play a Discipline Priest for a bit, and that was fun, but it was exclusively with a group of people I already knew, and so it was more of a comfy situation. Leading up to the most recent World of Warcraft expansion, I thought I was going to level up Panda Priest? Monk? I think it was a monk. I was going to try to become a healer. And immediately I got so stressed out trying to heal people, because people just fucking speedrun dungeons in World of Warcraft. They just chain pull through the place like crazy, create giant crazy nightmare fights, and you just have to try to keep up. And everyone else seems to be doing fine because they probably play this game all the time and their APM is higher than mine, and like, but like, I'm struggling just to like maintain line of sight with these fuckers long enough to just get a cast bar off, so that the heal actually gets cast and does in fact heal the tank before they just die from their own hubris. But their behavior is clearly based on them being used to dealing with these dungeons moving at that speed. The one thing about playing a tank is that at least I can control the pace of the dungeon, because I'm the one pulling and going. So if everyone else expects the experience to be faster, too bad, because this is the rate I'm going at, which is that I move forward to the dungeon, and the moment a fight starts, I stop dead in my tracks and then just deal with that until that fight's completely gone, and that's the entire experience. I do not continue pulling. I do not test the limits of what my character can do. And I've definitely had some low-level experiences where I was playing this machinist, and the tank went super aggro, and the party couldn't keep up, and we all died or something, or other things happened, like just different understanding levels. Because like, even though we're all playing low-level characters and leveling, which implies on some level that we don't know what they're doing potentially, because we're potentially trying something new, I think a significant percentage of people who are playing at lower levels are not doing their first take on that roll as a low-level character. So there is a level of, like, proficiency and aggression that players seem to have that makes me nervous the moment I have to actually do a job besides damage. When I'm playing as a ranged damage dealer, I'm just like, okay, whatever, I'm just gonna shoot at whatever the current fight is and just watch. But the moment you're playing a load-bearing role, you're like, these other players are expecting a lot of me right now, and I mix up some of my hotkeys still. That was today's podcast, apparently. You're getting this. You're getting my leveling experience in the form of a series of journals. I don't film it because, one, I'm probably multitasking and listening to other stuff. So instead of just game audio, you'd have like YouTube videos playing in the background, and I'd be stealing people's content. So I don't want that, and it's just bad content if I'm not commentating. And I do not want to commentate the leveling experience. If Effie and Andrew and everyone want to go back and do all of the old dungeons that we missed as just like a fun little tour, that's one thing, but I'm not gonna otherwise do that as a off-time thing, because then I have to try to commentate on that, and that's just even more stuff to do. Now that is the Zev I've longed to see. You resent this, don't you? This pointless trial. Perhaps you even resent me for subjecting you to it. Remember this feeling. Treasure it. I want it smoldering within you when we commune in Camp Drybone. You're such an edgy little shit. You're so cool. I'll show you who's cool. I got a giant sword. That is the only visual change. Technically, all of my gear has changed since last video, probably. But it's all transmogged anyway. But at this point, I just don't transmog the weapons because I want the transmogs to be able to be usable across multiple classes. And if you put a transmog weapon that only works for that specific class, which is kind of a gap in the system, but it is a slightly bigger sword. It's like a little wider, a little closer. I definitely want to have more of a guts sword. Just a big, just nasty slab. Like the dragon bone sword from Dark Souls 2 or something. Close your eyes and hold out your hand towards me. Breathe deep through your nose. Let the air fill your lungs. Then, let it pass from your lips. Slower. Slower. Listen to my voice. Listen to your heartbeat. Listen for the other. Thank the 12. It is you, Zev. Isambard, remember? Must have been ages since we last spoke. To think you would end up slaying the Lord of the Inferno. When you first came through looking for our missing common folk, I took you for a... This isn't the time to reminisce. I sought you out because I need your help. Do tell. Not long ago, an Almaja raiding party attacked a caravan on the road and abducted several pilgrims. We reported the incident to both the Brass Blades and the Immortal Flames, but it seems neither is in position to muster forces at present. You know what lies in store, should they not be rescued soon. Please, Zev. There is no one else. Really? Charge into an enemy encampment filled with the Almaja warriors and free some fools who should have armed themselves. Risk life and limb to do the work of a dozen men, all because you bloody asked? Is that it? That's what we do. But that's what we do, isn't it? Every god's damn time. Fine. We'll bring them back. I thank you for... They were bound for the encampment to the southeast. Then so are we. Dev's looking at him, judging. Like, someone's being a bitter little shit about the basic conceit of what Zev does all day. Christmas! Anyway. We need to reteach Frey the spirit of Christmas. That's what the storyline's about. The nerve of some people. They're all you do for them. They're inside, just as Sambard said. Mere moments away from being tempered, I'm sure. Well, what are you waiting for? It's time to play the hero. It's level locked, but the cap is 4 levels higher than me. Ah. Looks like they're level 40 though. Oh. Oh. Oh, they're not very hard to kill, are they? But I think a lot of that is Frey, who's mystery leveled. Although I do think I'm taking chunks out of these people for being my level. Those do seem to be my swings. Quick, I need to rub your chest for 10 seconds. There you go, now you're free. That's how being a prisoner works. Yeah. Something about line of sight seems to have stopped these people from noticing this. Oh, defend the pilgrims. Uh-oh. Did not realize this became an escort mission. I thought I was pushing forward to find more pilgrims. No! They died. How dare you? How dare you default to very easy after I screw up once? That's my bad. I thought it was a different kind of mission. I thought I was pushing through and clearing the area and finding all the pilgrims. But then I hit the invisible, well, not so invisible wall, but the invisible when you approach it wall that stops you from going further in. Chest rubbing Mark II? Yeah, the takeaway from the previous discussion is just that, like, tanking is a much more enjoyable experience when you're actually in verbal communication with the other players, as opposed to matchmaking. I kind of wonder if tanks might be... if it's just me, or if tanks might be disproportionately prone to not wanting to tank in matchmaking, like not wanting to do their role in matchmaking compared to other classes. I need to check what Stalwart Soul does. I think I unlocked that during a dungeon, but then it also didn't let me use it because I was being leveled down. So I don't think I know what it does. Let's just press it. Why not? Go, 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 go! They must have to properly trigger or enter their, like, not combat state. Oh. Slaughter the Alma. Wow, okay. We're extremely aggro in this game. I slaughtered them all. The women and the children. Shadow Wall? When did I get that? I'm just noticing these abilities. I think they're like brand new. Must have gotten them like in the last dungeon I did, and and just noticed them now. You just don't know when to leave off, did they? Neither did you, though, eh? I mean, look at yourself. Most of that's not even your blood. Leave it. You've got nothing to be ashamed of. Let's go and give Isambard the good news. Let's see, what's my class got? Also, can I get... Let's get rid of sprint. And pop that on my bonus bar here. Along with grit and limit break. Roll skills. Arm's length is here. Nullifies knockback. Action. So we have a blood weapon, which restores MP for the next few hits. Shadow Wall reduces damage taken by 30% for 15 seconds. Hello. I can't use them from here. That's on top of Rampart, reducing damage by 20%. I feel like they used to say 10%. Did that level up? I wonder if they stack. Oops. This auto-switching bar drives me crazy sometimes. But I do like having the other bar available, so... Stalwart Soul. Deals unaspected damage with a potency of 100 to all nearby enemies. Combo action Unleash. Hello. Put the cooldowns together over there. There, have these all be... These can be my cooldowns, these are my attacks. Okay, so Unleash Stalwart Soul is a combo. And if I do it as a combo, it restores MP and does more damage. And I'm about to get Edge of Darkness. Oop, my mouse keeps moving whenever I try to take my hand off it. Deals unaspected damage with a potency of 300. Additional effect grants Dark Side, increasing damage dealt by 10%. Right, that effect. Duration 30 seconds. Extends Dark Side duration by 30 seconds to maximum of 60 seconds. So this is the previously foreshadowed ability that lets you recast. Has a same recast timer as Edge of Darkness, so you can't stack them both. Which is noteworthy because I can put I can do Flood of Darkness between attacks in my main combo. These two sharing means I can't just spam both of them simultaneously and instantly be up to a 60-second cooldown. Potency of 300. I'm thinking I should put it here. Range 3 yards. Yeah, the normal attack range. So it's a melee version, whereas the Flood of Darkness is an AoE version. So now I'll have an opening attack for keeping my buff up that is good for single target, which, somewhat unusually, I did not start off with the single target version. We usually get that first. So this is now my AoE combo. Ooh. Gotta get my muscle memory down a bit. If I try to think too much about what I'm looking at on the action bar, I can really mix things up, unfortunately. between like which is left hand, which is left trigger, which is right trigger, which is D-pad, and which is face buttons. There's like an intuitiveness to it, but also an unintuitiveness to it, where I can get mixed up sometimes, even though I should know how it works if I stopped to explain it. Welcome back, hero. I heard you really gave those Almaja what for. Good show. I'm sure you're eager to be on your way, so I won't waste any more of your time, but thank you. Come back whenever you like. Those who have never faced death do not scrumple to condemn others. Scrumple? It's like, hang on a minute, what the fuck did I just say? Those who have never faced death do not scruple to condemn others to it. They know nothing of true sacrifice and are weak for their ignorance. In sacrifice there is strength. In sacrifice there is liberation. Close your eyes and hold out your hand towards me. Breathe deep through your nose. Let the air fill your lungs. Then let it pass from your lips. Slower. Slower. With every breath you grow lighter and slip further into the abyss. On a throne of bone he waits. Serve, save, slave, slay. They come to entreat his judgment. Serve, save, slave, slay. One by one, in solemn procession. So, what did you hear this time? And there I was thinking you were on the verge of discerning the truth. Your affinity with your dark side grows stronger by the day, and yet there is a hesitation. Listen to me, Zev. You have performed great deeds and saved countless people. You are a hero to the realm. But you are no Dark Knight. A Dark Knight accepts that he cannot save everyone, that sometimes he is fortunate just to save himself. Sacrifice, Zev, is to renounce that which binds you, to recognize that which matters, and forsake all that does not. At the very least, you must realize that you cannot continue to carry all these burdens, unless you wish to die a slave. I'm fine. Just a little tired. The communion is ended, and with it our time together, and we shall meet again, as we did before. I wonder if they're dying, and that's what they're getting at here. That seems like an immediate connection to make. It's introducing the idea that you can't save everyone, and then like a second later they seem to be not doing well. It's one of the funny things about narrative stuff is that when somebody claims that they're fine, they're just tired. There's always something going on there. New attack. So yeah, that activated my thingy. The same way that my other button does. Boom. But it's a big hit. It's the same effect as this, which is an AoE. But the AoE does... Oops. AoE has a potency of 100. This is a potency of 300. So if you're hitting 3 targets, it's equally as damaging. If you're hitting 4 targets, then it's more effective. But if you're fighting 1 or 2 enemies, it may be more effective just to hit them with your single slash to do more damage in the fight overall. But you're also not necessarily here to do damage. There's 2 party members at least that are there to actually do all the damage. So your role is to tank. So sometimes, I'm sure there's plenty of cases where doing that attack is good for AoEing and getting the group down. One of the things I need to get down is my priorities and figuring out how to tank just in general a little bit better. How to acquire targets, how to best notice when somebody's targeting somebody else, especially if they're ranged, where it can be hard to tell if they're not targeting me. Stuff like that. Get my controls down pat, maybe even look for customization about making sure I just target enemies with the D-pad or something. I should probably check to see if that's doable. And then also just knowing what button to press the right time to cause stuff. I think that at the moment I'm potentially over spamming my AoE, just an attempt to hit everyone in the group and hope that that causes enough threat to make them all start fighting me, at least at the beginning. Although maybe that just feels bad and wrong because I don't have a combo, and now I do. Now I have a 2-hit AoE combo, so maybe maybe the real reason it felt like I was doing the wrong thing there wasn't because it was the wrong call for keeping group aggro, but just because I had not yet unlocked the 2-part combos that made it feel like it was actually gameplay. Because anytime you press one button over and over again and nothing else for a bit, it always feels like you're playing your class wrong. But given that my classes are incomplete, that could be part of it.
I have revolutionized tank fashion. Everyone will take after me now and my genius ideas of armored plate mail leggings, dress shirts, and jockstrap. This is basically the best idea that anyone has ever had. Objectively. So I'm sick. And not super into it. But I also am trying to spend my sick time grinding, so I would like to have my skills unlocked. So I'm gonna go ahead and power through this, even though my throat's sore and I'm tired. This is... My progress in this game is constantly gated by the need to actually get around to doing the story beats to unlock things, and then meaning to record that instead of not record that. Instead of just blitzing it the way people do off camera. I'm beginning to question your commitment, Zev. What do you mean you have a cold and that's a problem? Are you gonna be a little baby bag bitch about it? You haven't heard the voice since our last communion, which means you haven't taken my lessons to heart. You know I'm trying to help you, don't you? All of this is for your benefit. You listen, but you don't understand. Never mind. You're the stubborn type. I know that. We'll just have to keep at it until you open your eyes. Morabit Dry Docks. That's where we'll head next. Morabit Docks. That's where I wanna be. There's a bunny. Goodbye, bunny. I tried doing some questing. It's not the worst thing ever. I think you get like something like 4 or 5% of your level per quest or something when you do those generic like bronze quests. Not the most efficient thing, but if you're too afraid to tank for randos most of the time because you're nervous about not knowing the dungeons, but doing the same dungeon over and over again wears you out. Because this fucking trust system only has like 1 dungeon for every 10 levels. Like 34, that one doesn't count actually. So 32 to 41 is 1 dungeon, then 41 to 50 is another dungeon. And that's like, jeez. And then that's the fucking, that's the end game dungeon, which frankly, I would love to level this character without doing that dungeon at all. Because I got really sick of it doing it on a machinist. I don't know. I feel like doing quests or other stuff, or even just grinding random mobs could maybe be more viable compared to running these dungeons, ideally, because running these dungeons over and over again honestly gets really, really boring really, really quickly. And getting the same, rolling the same, the fact that a lot of the randomized systems will give you the same dungeons repeatedly itself is just like, okay, well, I'm very bored of doing the same 10 minutes over and over again, so even if it's less rewarding, I'll go do random quests, I guess? That's like, that's kind of zen. I might go across the map and clear out all of those non-blue, non-story quests, like a locust, just to wipe them all out. Never much cared for the ocean myself. That friend of mine, the one I told you about after our first communion, we came out here together once. Long story short, we ended up doing something ridiculously foolish, and we're lucky to make it out alive. I tried to talk him out of it, but he just had to get on that damn boat. Don't be like that, friend. Isn't the maelstrom supposed to aid the small folk when we're in a spot of trouble? So far as is possible, yes, but such matters fall within the purview of the Yellow Jackets, and they told me to bugger off. Can you believe that? And they told me to bugger off. Can you believe that? I'm begging you, Sergeant. Wait. Is that you, Zev? It is. The legend himself. Forgive me, sir, I never thanked you properly for your service to Limsa Lominsa. When I first heard Leviathan had been summoned, I feared that... Why, if it isn't that famous adventure's been killing primals left and right. Truly, the 12 must be watching over me, because you're just the man I need. I am a victim of a terrible, nay, heinous crime. I was waylaid by Kikiran bandits near the Salt Strand, who left me with not more than the clothes on my back. And what makes you think I give a Kikiran's ass about your troubles? Go and bother the Yellow Jackets, like the sergeant said. I seek worthy prey, not a gang of rats. How can you say such a thing, sir? Without your help, I'm ruined. Fine, I'll help. Spoken like a true hero. So, you know, the rank and file don't seem so dangerous, but their leader was a mean-looking bastard. Considering the foes you faced in the past, he couldn't possibly pose a threat to you. Shut your mouth and wait here. I'll be back. What I thought. I was like, I know that's not where the story said we're going, but I'm so inherently tempted to go straight towards a glowing entrance thing when it's right in front of me. I kind of forget that they're just there in general for that they're not necessarily tied to the quest you're currently doing. That's the number one time I'm used to seeing them. If this Kikiran isn't everything he promised, I'll take it out of his hide. Let's make the most of this, Sev. No style, no guile, just chaos. Mark your limits, then push yourself beyond. Let the darkness guide you and set you free. Hang on a minute. I think I got a new button and then I didn't check what it was yet. At the end, the last thing I did. Dark Mind reduces magic vulnerability by 20%. Ah. Okay, so reduce damage taken but from magic. Oh, this just has damage, so it's all damage? Dark Mind you can just stack on top of that, I assume? Put Dark Mind right here. we're quickly getting a lot of points. Reduces damage taken. These are a taunt and 2 interrupts. But this is a damage reduced, and that's... Yeah, it's getting awkward to figure out where to put all these. Put the 3 damage reduction things together. Try to categorize things a bit. Weak, but plentiful. They may suffice. My thing's activated. Oh, they weren't joking. Alright, time to get the AoE practice in. By practice, I mean I press these 2 buttons a lot. Wow, look at me go. I don't want to kill the Kikirin. I want to be a Kikirin. Yo-Yo Rune Soft Hands. Well, he doesn't seem the most dangerous. Give that name. Oops, wrong button. Oops, I'm pressing every wrong button. Okay. Whatever. I meant to blow some cooldowns just for the sake of it, and I accidentally started my AoE combo, which breaks my other combo, annoyingly. I am a threat to everyone around me. Heh. Tenacious bastards. Right then, the goods. There's... good. There's nothing left here for... You did well. All that's left is to return the goods to their owner. Finish it. Finish what we started. I think part of why they're such a dick is because they probably only have so much time left to begin with. Oh, we're already here. There was no reason to teleport because we're already, like, right by our objective. Whoops. Same map. It's you. Are you able to catch up with those bandits? Yeah. Seems to be mine, but... They ain't take me. I can't sell this. Everything's soaked through with Kikirin blood. What'd you do? Carve one open and leave him to bleed all over my wares? I'm ruined. Utterly ruined. Sir, I demand recompense for your reckless destruction of my property. I'm a reasonable man, so I will acknowledge that you are not wholly responsible. 50% of the value should suffice. Oh, you punk. 50%. 50%? I slaughter a gang of Kikirin bandits for your precious goods, and this is the thanks I receive? You spineless sack of shite. I kill your enemies. I fetch your things. I do what you people can't or won't do yourselves. You're helpless, weak. All you do is want and need. I should have left you all to drown in Leviathan's tidal wave. At least then I would have been spared your constant bloody whining. Do not speak to me of this ever again. Pray forgive my insolence, sir. Zev, sir, you have every right to be upset, but... He's not here. That's what's going on. Frey did die. Frey is a dead person, and I am experiencing their thoughts, and whenever they speak out, they're speaking out through me. Okay. Because one I was like, why is he talking about the stuff that I did? Like, he didn't do that stuff. But now they're responding to me. I think he understands, sir. Yep. They all heard that as me speaking, not Frey. So it's like my darkest impulses are being expressed. That is interesting. That's a really cool reveal, especially one that was... especially whenever there's a story reveal that you can realize while it's happening instead of it being exposited at first. We can't keep doing this, Zev. You must see now what it's doing to us. What they're doing to us. These people. He deserved it. Every word. Right you are, Zev. Right you are. Felt good, didn't it? Seeing that sniveling wretch tremble. I think he nearly pissed himself. You're finally starting to see them for what they are now, aren't you? Good. Good. All that remains is to hearken to the voice, to grasp its words and discover your true calling. I wouldn't necessarily go as far as like being happy that he's pissing himself and that I'm seeing them for what they truly are or anything, but he was a prick and deserved to be told off. With every breath you grow lighter and slip further into the abyss. A chorus of voices cries out for a hero, and he comes. He smiles, he nods, and he remains silent. But he too has a voice. It will be heard. Zev Dargavash. You stand at the precipice, but do not fear the fall. Cast yourself into the abyss, and you shall soar above, free at last. There are other lands than these, Zev. Lands where we are not known. Ask, and we shall quit this place forever. Only when you have renounced everything are you free to do anything. When we meet again, you will give us your answer. Oh. I should have thought about that. We're level 45, which is the last milestone before the ending of the arc, because the ending will be at the end of the base game, which was 50. That's how they structure these narratives. I didn't really think about the fact that we're at the penultimate story, so it should be a big reveal. Look at that shine. Look at that color palette. I think this all works pretty well, honestly. It's quite the character. We have fun. It's interesting to be using warm colors after... I guess I have used gold regardless. This brass dye has worked with both color palettes pretty well. But the other than that, I did not really use a lot of warm colors with blue Zev because it wouldn't mix with the blue very well. We keep meeting here at nighttime. All of my colors are most muted. And things are just kind of a bummer. Oh well. I knew you would come to your senses, Zev. Now, let us go. If I never see snow again, it'll be too soon. We should go somewhere warm, at least for a little while. Wait for me near the gates of judgment when you are alone,
Call out, and I shall join you.
A moment later, Frey departs, though in what direction you cannot seem to recall. With the chat mode and say, you can use your keyboard and copy to interface with Frey to attract his attention.
Frey.
Frey. I think I need to go to the new destination first, though. I'm down to Camp Dragon Head. Nobody knows that song or what I'm talking about. Come down to Lake Poncho Train, rest your soul and feed your brain. Alright. I think he's down here. Funnily enough, I've been around here lately because doing the... It's one of the only salvations I have from spending all day doing, let's feed you. So I don't have to do these same instances over and over and over again. One of the alternatives is to grind the fates in these areas. So I've been around here. Oh, right, I have to actually go to the destination first. Far away. Oh, there's the destination. What a little confusing. Okay. They give you a big circle on the map, but you actually have to go to the specific spot, which is counterintuitive because the point is to say Frey to find out where to look for Frey, but you have to find a secret, specific, invisible spot on the floor first that isn't where the orange circle is to then do that. It's just a little goofy.
Wait, I know that voice. That's Zev Dargavash, the hero of the Scions. It's weird how we only say his name out loud when he's alone.
Oh, right. Zev hasn't realized that Frey isn't real. Or Frey is real, but Frey is not here. Frey is like... like this is me not being... this isn't necessarily 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that Frey is the consciousness of that dead person that has been attached to us because we took that person's class gem. So in order to become a Death Knight, that we absorbed some element of their essence and they're living on in our mind. And that is genuinely them, or it's based on them or something, and it's fading and dying over time, I think, is what's going on here. So we won't find Frey here, not really, but we might think we will.
Allow me to say what an honor is to meet you, sir. I mean, by the Fury, the man who bested Shiva under every knight under Lord Drillmont's command knows that tale. I could go on, but, well, I'll just say it, if I may, sir. We need your help. We have a giant problem, sir. A band of them is taken to raiding caravans passing through Danifin Pass. We think they might be planning to expand their territory. Lord Drillmont wants them gone, but you know how it is. Too much work for too few hands. We need at least 24 knights to clear them out safely. But now that you're here, sir, we have nothing to fear. Aye. While we create a distraction, you can slip past and put their leader down. Without him, they're sure to just cut and run. So, will you help us, sir? We beg of you. We beg of you.
Oh, I guess I will help. The thing I always do.
Thank you so much, sir. We won't forget this. Pray accompany me to the pass, sir. We can discuss the finer details of our plan there.
I assume his hesitation was just the fact that he has other goals right now, and not that he was planning on turning his back on people, because that's not what he does ever, even if Frey is pushing for that.
No. No more. Enough.
Are we like squashing his instincts as a dark knight? Are we like squashing his dark knight essence because we're insisting on we're like annoyingly insisting on doing these things that are counter to his personality in essence? If Zev's not exhausted, this is all relatively easy. The leader should be somewhere in the tunnels, sir. Once you're in position, we'll launch our attack. If all goes to plan, you should only have to contend with the leader and his guards. May the Fury guide and protect us. I'm still sick, but I'm powering through. If nothing else, I might as well be grinding my Dark Knight while I'm sick. But that does mean I need to do these story bits, even if I'm not at my game at the top of my game, so I can get the abilities and continue the character properly. I have so many mitigations. Let's stack them all. I care not for your AoEs. I pressed 700 mitigation buttons. Oh, you stunned me. That does kind of suck. Oh well. I have self-healing abilities. I am stunned now. Oh yeah, I've got the thing that makes me get stunned periodically, don't I? I think that's the one. Yep. Like paralysis, and it works just like it does in like in Pokemon and so on, I think. By the Fury, you really did it, and you made it look so easy. As for us, there were some injuries, but nothing serious. It was starting to look rather grim, actually, but the moment he fell, they sounded the retreat. It was an honor to fight with you, sir. You really are everything the bards say. Truth be told, I've been following your deeds for some time now, ever since you first came to White Brim Front. Your martial prowess is widely known, of course, but what I found truly inspirational was your compassion for the common man. How you would risk your life without thought or fame or fortune. Thought for fame or fortune. How the lowest among us could find a friend in you. Sir! Sir! Something wrong? It's Lord Drillmont, sir. He heard we were in the field with Zev and is demanding we come to White Brim Front at once. He come. Demanding? What is the meaning of this? Certain allegations have been made, sir. It would seem he was observed conversing with a corpse in the broom. Not that anyone would have ever believed such slander, of course. Of corpse. Yeah, no, I figured this out in advance. I should warn you, sir, that some of the allegations were made at the temple by the Temple Knights. You may be asked to surrender your weapon. They're coming for me. Although, why? Talking to a corpse... Are there even, like, necromantic powers in this universe? I'm trying to remember if that's come up before, because, like... I don't know if there's a basis from which to accuse me of doing some dark magic. Wait, how does this work? I thought they were in my mind. How did they defeat everyone before I got here? I came here... Specifically because I came here with somebody else, so it's not like I was already here, right? Surrender your weapon. After what happened in Ul'dah, they must be mad. Pay attention, Zev. This could be the greatest moment of our life. That is, if you could stop denying the truth that's been staring you in the face since the moment we met. Say my name. Say it. My real name. Our real name. Come now. You knew Frey was dead from the beginning, but you didn't care. You had a sword and a soul crystal,
But you wanted... But what you wanted was a mentor. A mentor with the gifts and the knowledge. A dark knight who could guide you on the path. Who you could aspire to become. A man who was free to say and do things you would not. Even now, you continue to deny it. Deny me all you want. You cannot deny what we have done. Have I not been good to you? Have I not given you everything I promised? Did I not help you to hear the whispers of our very soul? Open your eyes. Look. Do you see now? Do you see?
Okay, so what's that guy seeing? Because I thought I knew the answers. Oh, he's big. Oh, he's me. He's a Rothgar. Okay. I was like, hang on a minute. I know that body type.
Everything up to now has been your story. And everything after now will be mine.
You're sorry. My fashion's better, so that means I win. Esteem? Because he's myself? Get it? It is a neat little plot twist to be like, you think you're going to be fighting the Temple Knights, but actually you're going to be fighting yourself. You shouldn't stand much of a chance, though. Whoa.
Friends?
Ooh. Let's see.
You can't really kill me, you know. Oh, you'll try, but you'll fail. You may as well put the blade to your own neck. But where would that leave us, huh? Pull yourself together, Zev. You're stronger than this. Friends? Really? This is a private affair, and you know it. Things are certainly coming to a head, aren't they? Do you have any idea how ridiculous you look, flailing about like a wild beast in a battle against yourself? A house divided cannot stand, Zev. Oh look, you're doing it again. Bravo, Zev, bravo.
Like evil dark spirits. Do I need to go fight those dark spirits? I need to get better at target acquisition. Oh, esteem and anguish. Oh, they're different. They're different people. There's a whole crowd of them. Time to AoE then. Well, that's one down. My main combo restores my health. That's yours? I beat me. Your sword looks worse too. Your fashion's bad. I have a pretty basic sword, but it looks really cool.
It would seem I underestimated myself, but no matter. They have borne witness to the darkness within us, to what lies beneath their mask. Zev, listen to us.
We will never forsake you, no matter what. Us, super memorable characters like Clotarion and others.
We know who you are, Zev. We know, and so do you.
I don't know why it came out vaguely French sounding. Not the first time I've had somebody with a bloody weapon and scary armor in my brain, claiming to be part of me and whatnot.
Fantastic display of willful ignorance. Wipe the slate clean. Forgive and forget. Convince yourselves that he can be controlled. The warrior of light. Our weapon of light. It isn't too late, Zev. We can still be free.
Give him a hug. Do it. He's just a sad idiot.
Zev?
They're too afraid to have characters physically interact in this game because the animations are fucked up and there's 500 character model types, although it would be the same species no matter what. So they could make it work.
So this is your answer. Listen to my voice. Listen to our heartbeat. Listen.
This was one of the lessons of the meditation and the voices that you would hear. I just want to see more characters physically comfort each other without the animation completely fucking up. They tried to have people head pat each other earlier, but that did not work well.
If this is how it must be, then so be it. But know that when you tire of this charade, I shall be here, waiting to take the reins.
It's getting crowded inside my brain.
You need only ask.
Just imagine, like, if you're Dark Knight already in Shadowbringers, how funny it might be if they, like, met each other in there.
Praise alone, you're all right, sir. For a moment we feared we'd lost you forever. Lord Droma made it clear that we will speak no more of what happened. Not that he has to ask, mind. As for your friend, I'm told he will be interred with full rites. May his soul rest in peace.
The wounds give rise to a dark shadow, it says. That's from earlier.
Are you certain you're all right, sir? You seem a little... never mind. Fare you well. You subdue your dark side. For now.
Is that until the next expansion where it acts up again?
Wow, 46,000 experience. That's like 10% of a level.
I need 421. It is expansion experience though, so there are only 10 levels per expansion, so they have to make it has to really pump up the grind. Oh well.
Time to go level.
That was an interesting little arc. It was more narratively satisfying, I think, than a lot of the other class quests have been so far. Like, I played along politely, but in particular, like, the machinist group and it being all about the story of some nerd having to prove the value of guns to the military and having a bunch of underdog story stuff happen, and then vaguely gesturing at the idea that guns are an equalizer that would be good for a revolution, and that the power structures are threatened by that idea a bit, the idea of arming civilians. When the Heaven's Ward area, Ishgard, is very much about having a kind of a pretty strict hierarchy. Like that old, I don't really care about the underdog story of the Machinist Guild, and the characters in the Machinist Guild weren't very interesting, but the idea that you're potentially inviting a political revolution by arming the peasants is kind of interesting. But that was the least interrogated part of the narrative, and because it was not willing to fully commit to having a political storyline, it mostly focused on like the series of people that just hate that group and want to threaten it in various ways, and that just wasn't the most captivating storyline. In part because it's like, as Final Fantasy XIV, especially A Realm Reborn and Heaven's Ward early on often were, it's just so plot heavy and not character focused that it gets dry, and you quickly are like, okay, I understand what the premise is, and as a result you probably also know where the whole thing's gonna go. I wasn't like shocked by any of the outcomes here, but it was at least like a cool little compelling thing about what's happening, and it was focused, and it had an arc to it that was interesting, even though it is kind of goofy to have like the people who are comforting me and having my back are like unrecognizable characters. A couple of them probably showed up earlier in the storyline or something, and I just immediately forgot about them because they're not really memorable for the most part. But these storylines never want to incorporate the main characters, I guess, because they're worried that some of them might be dead by the time you get to this part of the story. Like there's characters they've killed off over the years, so they probably don't want to worry about whether or not they kill off other characters eventually. And also just because it gets messy seeing the same characters all the time everywhere, and they're always having time for stuff. I don't know if fully know the backstory, but or the not the backstory, the justification for that, but the need to pivot on a lot of these storylines just being like, here's some dude, is a bit iffy, because yeah, like I don't think any characters were particularly reinforced in this narrative to be memorable besides Frey. So they did kind of have a narrative that was so focused that when the other people came in, it was just like it was mostly just this vague idea that, the public, it's you, Zev. The public doesn't hate you, whoever they are. Anyway, but yeah, I liked where this went, and I'm interested in seeing where it goes. Especially just wasn't full of fluff of there being like, here's 7 characters with convoluted inner working elements of how they're going to work with the narrative, and then like, oftentimes these stories have underdeveloped characters that still have to talk way too much about like the logistics for some reason of what they're going to do and where they're going to be and who's going to do what. And in particular, I think Final Fantasy XIV's writing, this is not the biggest problem it has, but one of the ongoing things it has is it will often spend way too long with logistics of what individual characters need to do. Sometimes an entire quest chain is just you, like, preemptively discussing the logistics of how you're going to get from point A to point B so that a story can eventually happen. And, like, obviously sometimes it's in cases like that one mining town in the desert where a whole storyline happens in transit, because like it's not that logistics is inherently bad. Like Game of Thrones season 2, I think, was in particular a whole bunch of people just walking from point A to point B. Like several different groups were essentially doing that in season 2 and 3, I think. And a lot of that was some of the best stuff because it was all these character-driven arcs happening with the characters over the course of that. So stuff can happen on a journey, obviously. That is the Fellowship of the Ring, the first Lord of the Rings, which is my favorite one. So I don't have a thing against journeys. It's just that oftentimes they will do several quests that just amount to, and then this is going to happen, and we're going to go there, and this has to be carried over there, and these characters are going to go there, and those characters are going to go there. And here's a 10-minute explanation of who's going to go where. Then you like just go fly over to the next waypoint, and like, okay, so now that all that's happened, you're like, okay, please stop talking about like who's gonna share an Uber. That's just not the important part to focus on writing. You can hand wave some of that stuff, I promise. But we're a bit off topic. We'll close out today. If I'm whiny, blame it on me being sick still. Back to grinding.